Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode 42 of Power Bombshells. I'm Sam. That is Mel. Thank you for joining us again live this Sunday afternoon. If you've been watching the last few episodes, you know we've talked about we're going to try to make live streaming a regular thing for us at this time every single week. Holidays will probably throw some of that off because Christmas is on is on a Sunday, so
Christmas is on my head.
Christmas is on your head. Christmas is on Mel's head and is also on a Sunday, so we will probably not be live streaming that day. We'll let you know what our plans are for a holiday episode, but for the most part, we will be live Sundays at 1:00, and then audio will still go up. And now you can catch us different places. We are on all kinds of podcatchers now on Spotify, iHeart. There's all kinds of things.
It's
So
pretty crazy.
yeah,
We are everywhere right now.
we are. So you can listen to us one or two ways, but we would love to have you on the live stream so you can come chat with us, and that's always fun and entertaining when we have people in the chat helping drive the conversation, unless they're super distracting, which happens to me all the time.
Well, I mean, we do have some people that pop in
We
and
do. We
talk
appreciate
to
that.
us about stuff that we want to hear about, or if they went to shows, or
Yes.
all kinds of things.
Yeah, so
because there's so much that went on this week, and don't mind me, I'm just like rearranging my entire video here.
Sorry.
'cause-
Apparently. Sorry, I think that was me. Sorry about that.
See, look at us. We're all put together today. We are ready to go.
Yes.
We are happy, and I figured it's December, so
Yes.
I mean, I'm not going to tell anybody. We're not going to tell people what I'm wearing because we'd like them to go check out the YouTube channel.
Yes.
The video, and at least like it and subscribe to the Fight Game Media Network, which is
super helpful.
Not just helpful to us, but to all the really fun and cool people that we have hanging out on the network doing fun.
Yeah, everybody's doing really excellent work, and you should go check them out and like their videos, because we think it puts them in the algorithm and upvotes them so people can see them. So it's super helpful for you to like our stuff, but also for any video from Fight Game Media that you see, it helps bump it up, and we appreciate that. And if you leave comments, we'll respond. But I guess since we're doing live streams, that will be where the comments are anyway. But yes, please come.
You can leave more comments.
You can
leave comments on the listen back or replay.
Yeah, you definitely
which
can.
Is available
we'll answer
immediately on our feed, on our Fight Game Media YouTube. So
yes. And then of course we're on social media. We're on Instagram and on Twitter at Power Bombshells, so you can come hang out with us there. And that's where you'll also find like when we make announcements for like the Christmas, like whatever we're gonna do around Christmas and things like that.
Yeah, holiday, New Year's,
all that good stuff.
Whatever we feel like,
Yeah, all that stuff will be there. And then of course we love gifts. Send us your gifts, especially we talked about it. If you watch us in the
please. We are Sam and I, even this very week, I'm fixing it, I don't care.
Go ahead.
Sam and I this very week were like having a whole gift conversation, and I was enjoying the heck out of it.
I enjoy having gift conversations. So, and if you watched our early episodes, you know that we wanted gifts of missile drop kicks from Okada, because they're so precise and on point, and they're beautiful, and we love them.
And then always destroyers, because that's Sam's like
all the destroyers
favorite.
All the time. I will take code reds. I enjoy them also. So the other night I was excited because I got a destroyer and a code red, and so I was like,
this was a good week for wrestling. You got I see, it's amazing. Like, wrestling brings people together. Now every time I see a destroyer, I'm like, oh, Sam's gonna be so excited. And that one was really good.
It was. Yes.
And now I find myself like judging them. Now I'm like rating them. I'm like, ooh, okay.
We should do that. We should have we should find like clips of different destroyers and then rate them and talk about them on the show.
Our favorite destroyer.
That'll be our clip of the week that we put on YouTube.
That's not, you know what?
Sam and Mel rank destroyers.
We could
I mean,
look
we
up
could
the
rate
history. We could look up, like, if I can do my nerdy thing where I can look up the history of the move, because there's always the history and a reason that somebody did something. So
Yes, and the code red I know came from Amazing Red. I know that he is the one who invented that one, and so those are always fun to watch. Yeah, we could do something like that. I mean, you could even do like a top 10 destroyers from the Lucha Brothers.
yeah, like each individual. Yeah,
Right.
definitely for them. Jesus.
Yes, exactly.
Holy goodness. Yes. Oh no. Oh.
See, we can come up with content.
We are content. We are content masters.
We are content.
Did you end up? See, I have to ask because I'm just not sure, and I know that it's holiday party season as well.
It is holiday party
several,
season.
Like I had mine. Like that's why we had moved last week, and it's. If you mind me saying so, is that you had yours yesterday and things like that, and many other people that we know were, that I know have been posting theirs. I'm like, it's holiday party season.
It is holiday party season. Yep. Yeah, we had my mom's side of the family. We have one every year. And it was yesterday. And it was at the exact same time as Final Battle. So I didn't get home until, I don't know, it was like somewhere between 9:30 and 10 that we got home, and then had to like change and all that good stuff. And so it was late before we even started 0 Hour, and I was watching Final Battle until really late. And then I don't know how I stayed awake as late as I did. And then we got to the main event. I was like, I know it's only like 20 minutes, but I was like, I can't make it. So I was like, we have to go back and watch it. So Nikki and I just finished it like 30 minutes ago.
Okay, I feel a little better because I had something of a Bleacher Report is live. Bleacher Report Live is BR Live. It's broken. It's a broken ass platform, and it doesn't work.
Sucks.
I don't have any devices that have it on there, have the app available. Like, so I use my TV. I don't use my game box or whatever. Right. I use my TV. My TV has every app except Bleacher Report Live. And when they're like all week, everyone's like, "Oh, it's gonna be on Fight TV." I'm like, "It's fine. It'll be on Fight TV, and I can get it." And it's like, except in the United States.
Yep.
And I'm like,
yeah, it's internationally, fans get to watch it on Fight. We're stuck with Bleacher Report. I don't know how. The question I've heard so many times is how long until their relationship is over, because their platform sucks.
It's horrible.
It's really bad, and it seems like, because usually with pay-per-views, like I usually split it with one of our friends, and either I always have issues with it or one of them will have issues. And like for Full Gear, Matthew and I did not have issues, but our friend Doug had issues with it. Like, and so it seems like, or I've had other friends, like it seems like there's always somebody either that I'm friends with or in my timeline is complaining about, and this is literally every single pay-per-view. And like we figured out that I have to watch pay-per-views. I have to watch Bleacher Report in my bedroom. I can't, for some reason, it plays better on this TV than it does in the living room. And so it took us a while to figure that out, but it plays better in here for some reason. And so, but I was like, it's such a hassle and I hate it. And I mean, Fight TV is not perfect. It has its own issues, especially we've seen the New Japan shows that they do over there, like Capital Collision.
They're even improving, I would say,
they
over
I had less problems the last time I watched
a New Japan one than we. I mean, we know a few people around there, and we understand like how they kind of like don't understand how big the shows in the US are going to be, and that the broadcasts are actually going to get purchased. So it's worthwhile to put Kevin Kelly and whomever into a place where it's useful. But like, I was like, okay, I'm fine with this. This is perfect, but I can't get the Bleacher Report Live thing. So I'm like, all right, I'll go to my satellite, which is fine. Like I have satellite, use it.
Yeah.
But like 4:00 in the afternoon on a Saturday, 2 weeks before Christmas, is a really tough time for people to actually do things.
Right.
And unfortunately, if you don't buy it on time and hit record on satellite. So when I went to buy it, I went and purchased it and figured I could just restart it. It
Right.
wouldn't let me roll it back. It was 3/4 of the way through the Juice Robinson, just Samoa Joe thing. So basically, I saw the main event.
What a pain in the ass.
And paid my money.
Refund her money, Bleacher
And
Report.
there's no, like, so I'm like, all right, maybe there'll be a replay this morning. No replay, just like it recorded that channel. And it doesn't have any future showing. So it's like,
what a waste of money and a pain in the ass.
I'm getting that money back.
You should get that money back because that's ridiculous.
Getting back. And
yeah, that's ridiculous.
So I'm just going to say that I did manage to watch some matches, and I got to some, so like I got the double dog color match in. Obviously I want to go back, but I was like, the 0 hour I can watch at any time.
Yeah.
Interested. I got the Athena and
that match was good.
Mercedes match.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So I was shooting for the ones that I knew that I got. I got Yuta and Garcia.
Oh, good.
So
that was a good one.
So I saw the main event in stunning 4K HD on my satellite. I paid $40 for that main event. Is what happened.
Yeah, you better get your money.
And
back.
It was good.
Yeah, but still,
it was not $40 good.
No,
and it's so frustrating because it's like I was already really, really, really on the fence. And I've done this at the last couple. But this one I was really not interested.
Well, that's understandable.
And then I go to buy it, and it's a big pain in the ass to get it.
Yeah, and so that's the thing.
I'm like, you're not helping yourself. And I'm someone that will I will watch this stuff. Like,
right.
It's good. I want to watch it. And you are, and like the pay-per-view, I mean, looks like it wasn't too bad.
I thought it was a really solid
presentations.
Show.
Like, and Caprice and
we
Caprice
had some issues.
And Ian are awesome. So.
Yeah, they're the best.
You go.
They're the best. But we even had some issues where like the screen went out and they put up like the Technicolor like color block thing came up, and then a few times it froze, and so it was. I mean, which
you're like,
those are
1992.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, and they were quickly resolved, so at least it was that, but it's not. I mean, it's not uncommon for pay-per-views now that we watch, so it's just like oh god, is it this again? And so it's really frustrating, especially when there's already been complaints about the price point for the ROH pay-per-views, which I completely understand and I get. And
that was my balance.
I'm in agreement. I'm in agreement with it. Like, I think it should not be $39.99. And I mean, so then when you have that, like all the extra, when it's hard to even watch the programming, like then you're not getting your $39.99 out of it. And so they really have got to. And so I was going to get to this, but I mean, I guess we'll talk about it real quick. So Honor Club is back. They announced it last night, and then the press release went out this morning, which I tweeted. And so the pay-per-views you still will have to buy from Bleacher Report, and then they will be on Honor Club 90 days after the lives. So it'll be included in your $9.99 that you pay for Honor Club, but if you want to watch it live, you have to pay for it on Bleacher Report. I don't know if the price point will still be $39.99 or if they've decided to make it like $24.99 or something like I have not heard. They didn't specify in the press release, but you have to buy the pay-per-view separately, which I think you had. No, I don't think so. I think when you had Honor Club before, the pay-per-views were included, I believe. So yeah. But they are gonna have.
I don't want to watch. Okay.
Yeah.
So I don't want to watch
Honor Club. So Honor Club will also have. They haven't said when live weekly shows will be on Honor Club, at some point soon. And then there is 2,500 hours worth of content dating back to 2000 that will be in. That, so that'll all be in the $9.99 price point, and then it'll be like, so it's like New Japan. You pay your $9.99, which is actually a little bit less when converted to dollars from yen, and then you have to pay extra if you want to watch some of their big shows are included, but if you want to watch
almost
the special
all
things,
of their big shows, I'm glad you made the comparison, because that's exactly what I was thinking. It's similar to New Japan.
Well, we'll get, obviously Wrestle Kingdom is free, like the big shows like that, they are included in your $9.99. But if you want to watch like Forbidden Door or like the extra, like the crossover with Stardom, that was separate. You had to pay for that separately from New Japan. So it seems like that's the thing. But then you go look at Peacock, and Peacock you get all of
it for free
for $4.99. And I think it's a little bit more if you want the ad-free version, but it's $4.99 a month. And so
and I always forget this. I'm one of these weirdos, is that because of what utilities work around here, I use Xfinity for my internet, so I get it for free. It's part of my because they give you the way that it works here is it's cheaper to get the best bundle by doing their internet TV service. So it's essentially in the package that you purchase to get the best internet around here.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh yeah, I have Peacock. I can watch WrestleMania. I'm essentially watching it. I mean, I'm not watching it for free because I'm paying my cable bill, but I'm essentially watching it for free when compared to the fact that like I'm paying a separate service. Like I'm paying for my Netflix, and I'm saying my New Japan, and my if I had to like I mean, New Japan is now my only wrestling subscription anymore.
That's mine right now too. I'm probably gonna do the Fight Plus because it's got that's the thing for $4.99, and there's GCW is in there, and like a handful of other indie promotions are. But then so even IWTV, which I don't currently have, I've had it in the past, they are $9.99, but there's a shit ton of content there. There's
$9.99 for that, like that Honor Club deal does not like $9.99 for because the back catalog.
That's what I was gonna say. That
the catalog
is
makes
worth
that
$9.99.
well worth that.
Yeah, it's the pay-per-view part that is the sticking point for everybody. Especially, I really hope they'll reconsider. Like I said in the press release that came out this morning, they did not clarify how much the pay-per-views would be, just other than you had to go to Bleacher Report to watch it, is the only thing that I've seen. And so I was like, I don't know if we should stick with this topic since we're already on the ROH stuff, and then we'll make because so with the ROH. So do you want to go ahead and just talk about the pay-per-view now?
Yeah, we're already on pay-per-view.
So
you did actually finish it up, and
I finished I watched the whole thing. I watched 0 Hour and everything.
We can talk about the matches and
so 0 Hour.
We are the first people to do any talking on anything on the Fight Game Network, so we get to do the first.
Well, apparently, from the way people were talking about it, they spent a lot of time telling me why they weren't going to watch it, and then kept talking. I was like, if you're not going to watch it, don't watch it.
I mean, no, they always.
It's like they were still talking about it yesterday, and I was like, either watch it or don't. I'm trying to get ready for a Christmas party, and my phone's constantly dinging because they're having this back and forth. And I was like, still, we just did this 2 days ago. Which, I mean, I get it. They had valid reasons. Like, I completely get it. Like, they had some valid points, and I'm not against that at all. But like, if you're not going to watch it, then you don't. Who are you convincing? Me or yourself?
But like, we all see, this is why I stopped, and this is why I didn't participate this week. I definitely lurked and found the conversation compelling, because it always is.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, there's valid points, and I'm not disagreeing with a lot of what they're saying.
But I didn't participate because so far since Tony Khan has purchased ROH and started selling pay-per-views on TVs and whatever.
Yeah.
I've paid for every single one of them. And with the exception of the first one, because I was like, yeah. I've pretty much been like, I don't know if I want to watch this one. I don't know. I literally buy it at the end. I'm like, forget it.
They use the 0 Hour to sell you.
The last one, this is the last one.
It was Death Before
Dishonor. I didn't even bother on that one. I think I bought that one on Thursday or something, where I was just like, nope, I'm out. I'm buying this one. I don't care. I know I'm going to buy it anyway. I'm going to want to talk about it. It's fine.
Yeah.
And it doesn't matter because it goes to ROH. And I guess if we want the chance of keeping the thing propped up in any way and making it something that's viable, like there need to be pay-per-view buys.
Yeah,
so
exactly. That's kind of where I am with it too. Like, I mean, I don't think like, and I don't want people to feel like if you're honestly not interested in it, then like don't buy it. But then
that's the only thing you get anymore. You get to vote with your wallet.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, vote for your And if you don't, and I agree that price point is terrible. It's a really bad price point. And not that ROH doesn't deserve it, because I love ROH. I've watched them for a while now. And even, I mean, there were some times where I quit watching just because it got really bad for a while, but still, I mean, they had a good card yesterday. It was a really solid show. Again, I don't agree with the $39.99 price point. I hope that Tony will reconsider that. And I don't know how, and I know another thing that they were doing yesterday is they were testing out an afternoon show, because I mean, obviously there was a lot going on. NXT was yesterday, UFC was last night.
That's the other thing, right?
Yeah. So, and it's Christmas time, people have budgets. Like,
that's the thing for me.
There's a lot of things going on there, but one of the things that Tony did mention before was that they were testing out an afternoon show to see, because obviously AEW pay-per-views start at 8 p.m. Most companies, WWE's does as well, obviously, because there's time zone factors into all of that as well.
They go with us. I mean, they go with our time zone.
I don't know. I think they would need a few more afternoon shows to really make a decision, because I think a Sunday in December when people are having holiday parties, they're shopping. They're
2 weeks before Christmas, bro.
Yeah, they're saving their money. There's other things. So yeah, I don't think yesterday, I understand it, and I think it's a good starting point, but I think they're going to need several afternoon pay-per-views before they make a decision one way or another. Like, I hope they don't see yesterday and be like, oh, this was terrible, we're never doing an afternoon show again.
No, give me an afternoon show in like the middle of fucking, pardon my French. There we go. There goes our thing.
Yeah.
Give it to me in the middle of the afternoon in like late February when it's cold and I can't go outside and it's like I need something to do on a Saturday afternoon, because it's like only light out for 3 hours and then I'm like begging you to take my $40 just to like give me something to do. Like the deep depths of wind. I mean, I hate to say it, but like I live even in Southeast Michigan, where we still get it. We're spared what the North gets, but it's like that. That's like the perfect time. Like,
So hopefully they'll test out a few more and see. I'm not opposed to afternoon pay-per-views. It just kind of depends.
This time.
Yeah, not this time of year. No, absolutely not. Yeah.
I mean, I know,
I get the factors and things like that, but yeah.
Don't they actually or didn't he's trying to like keep with like some sort of tradition in how they like how they used to do the schedule, or like this is the time of year?
I know Final Battle is always in December, so I think he was trying to keep with that. So and he did Supercard of Honor when he purchased it, but Supercard of Honor is typically an April show, because it would be, or like March, April is around WrestleMania week is when they used to do
because that's when they did the crossover with New Japan.
Yes, so right, exactly. April. Yeah. So that I assume would come back maybe around that time, but I know for sure. And I think Death Before Dishonor was a September pay-per-view before, if I remember correctly. I may be wrong, but Final Battle was always in December. That was always their big show. Like that, I mean, like Starrcade was obviously always in December. Final Battle is always in December. So I think, and they wanted to get that in, and it's hard timing with all the factors we mentioned. So hopefully they'll figure it out and spend some other time on it. But I mean, I thought it was a pretty solid show, especially like I enjoyed 0 Hour. I saw some comments from some people comparing matches to dark matches like it's a bad thing, but so I know you haven't got to see 0 Hour, so I will just
that's okay. I definitely want to check it out, because it
was good.
So Dora match is something that
you definitely want to see that. So it started out with a strong match. Basically, it was Mascara Dorado versus Jeff Cobb.
Right. That's right.
So that was a fun match. I really enjoyed it. Obviously we're Jeff Cobb fans over here. Yeah, we're Jeff Cobb fans here. I love Mascara Dorado. If you watched, we've talked about it before. If you watched WWE, he was Grand Metalik there. Since he's been gone from WWE, he's been wrestling under Mascara Dorada. He's spent a lot of time in Strong. He's king of the ropes there. And sometimes he's been on Impact. I know for sure at least once, maybe twice. But so it's really, he's always fun to watch. And so that was a really good match. And I guess, I don't know if they kicked it off with that because Jeff Cobb actually has a match today. They're doing Strong tapings in Hollywood, and he is wrestling Bad Dude Tito tonight, which is a big meaty men slapping meat.
I signed me up for that match.
Yeah, I saw that announcement. I was like, I will watch that when that airs. Yeah, that'll be a good one. So I was like, maybe that's why they had him go first, because they're like, he's got to get out of here and get to California so he can wrestle Bad Dude Tito tomorrow. So that was a really fun match. It was nice to see, and they're kind of still playing into the United Empire stuff because having Jeff there. So it's nice to kind of see that they're still, because I didn't read the article, but I heard something the other day that they're planning a Forbidden Door 2. I don't know if they've said when. I didn't have a chance to read the article, and I forgot to go back and read it.
Meltzer said that they were.
Yeah, so, which I figured after that first one you got. I've
been waiting to hear the announcement because I am 100%.
Yeah, Mel and I are trying to speak it into the universe that she and I are going to go to Forbidden Door together.
I'm going. I am.
We're going to go together, and then we'll figure out a way to do a live stream.
Especially if he better not pull some crap where he swerves and goes and has it at a different venue when he has been so adamant about having it at specific venues for all these other shows.
Right.
Because I will be mad.
As you should be.
I will be trying to use your question to ask WTF on that one.
She's going to take my media credentials. Or she's going to be like, ask him this question if I'm not on timeout. And if I'm not in timeout anymore.
You're going to have to. Well, actually, you know what? You might get one read because you're not asking about women.
They're like, I don't trust her. I will say I didn't get to be on the media call this week because I had an appointment and I had to take Nikki to an appointment in the middle of the call, so I didn't. But I did hear somebody asked about Maria working in the backstage, and I was like, and because I saw Garrett said Sam didn't even have to be on the call for that question to be asked, and then I saw somebody, I think it was somebody from Body Slam, I think, tweeted the question too and said that he was asked, and apparently he pretty much dodged the question, which is not a shock at this point. But that's why I was like, well, we're gonna keep asking. I've already said if you're gonna not answer these, if you're not gonna improve the division, you're gonna get, if you don't like these questions, then do something about it, because I'm gonna keep asking.
Oh man, one of these days. One of these we're gonna lay the smackdown for real on that. For real. But anyway, so let's keep talking about that.
Yeah. So then the next match was Shinobi Shadow Squad, which is Cheeseburger and Eli Isom, who I think is great, and Cheeseburger trained him, and so I'm always glad to see them. They wrestled Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Luke. So,
nice.
Yeah, it was just kind of a random match, but it was a solid match. I enjoyed it. So Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Luke got their own music. They got some. It wasn't that they got the JAS intro with the sports entertainers, but then they got their own music, so I didn't have to listen to Jericho's song. I didn't have to listen to Judas twice last night, so I appreciated that. I was like, thank you. The music was fun. I liked it. I enjoyed it. So I hope we get to hear that more. And so Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Luke, they won, and there was some more stuff with them later on. The next match was Trish Adora versus Willow Nightingale, and it was really good, and I enjoyed it. And I really don't know if, especially now that Honor Club is a thing and they're going to have weekly television, they're going to have to start building up the Women of Honor, and I really hope they've signed Trish Adora. I have not heard anything official, but I really hope they've signed her because she's just so good. And it was hard because I love both Trish and Willow. That was one of those matches where I hope they both have fun, because I was like, I don't care who wins.
Yeah, that's definitely one of those moments. That's like New Japan level where
right, yeah, exactly.
You're like, well, it's Ishii or Suzuki, and you're like, yay.
Have fun. Who's the winner? Me.
I win.
Yeah, exactly. And so they got so I have been timing the ROH matches, and because Willow is technically all elite, I had timed it. So they got 6.5 minutes last night. So it wasn't too bad, especially for a pre-show. I was like, all right, I'll take it.
Yeah.
But I really, really hope. But then the next match was the Kingdom. And so here comes Maria, and I was like, Maria, are you back there being like, San Trish, Adora? I hope you are. I know that you're busy managing the Kingdom, but also I need you. I need you to do it. It was funny.
It's a kingdom. You got to multitask.
Yeah, she does. She has her hands full with them. But they wrestled Top Flight, and so that was Top Flight's ROH debut last night. So that was really cool, and the match was great. I really enjoyed it. I thought it was a really solid 0 hour. It was a nice pre-show, whether it sold tickets or not. Sold subscriptions or buys rather to Final Battle. I'm not sure, but I enjoyed it, and it was free, so can't complain about that.
Yeah, no, I definitely want. Those are all good matches. Those all sound like matches that are worth sitting and watching. I really like Top Flight right now.
It's like Darius never missed a beat.
It's nice to see them back together. I am like all of my good vibes for a healthy Top Flight.
Yeah, that's one of our wishes for 2023 is that Top Flight stays healthy.
Stays healthy the whole time, because if they do, it's gonna be a lot of fun.
Yeah, they're so good, and it makes me kind of wonder, because they're so popular in AEW. I don't know that they would move them to the Ring of Honor tag team division, but depending on who they put in that tag, that could be a lot of fun, especially if it's a lot of up and coming teams. Like if you have like Top Flight and Workhorsemen over there, and just have some of these younger teams over there, I think that could be a lot of fun, and they don't have to get not buried, but like, it's hard to stand out when Young Bucks and the Lucha Brothers these really solid, because they're tag team.
It's so stacked at AEW.
It is. It's hard.
That's the one place that I wouldn't. Not that I wouldn't want to, because I would honestly want to try and like prove myself. You want the best competition, but at the same time, 100%. It'd be like you're signing up for like the hard way.
It's hard
if you're wanting to go as a tag team and try and get into AEW.
Right. So Top Flight has definitely, and Private Party, I would even say, they have been two teams that have really stood out, and and then obviously Darius was hurt, so Dante had to make his name as a singles competitor for so long, and he did a phenomenal job, and pairing him with Matt Sydal I think was super smart, to help guide him while his brother was away. And so now that they're together, like they're just and Dante, now he has all this experience as a singles wrestler that he can bring into this tag team with his brother. So I'm really excited to see where they go. So I would not, if they got moved over to the Ring of Honor brand, I would not be mad about it, because I think they could really shine there, and they could be ROH. I think they could eventually be ROH tag. I hope they would be AEW tag team champions eventually, but I think that they could definitely, be ROH tag title or tag team champions. So I would not be mad at that.
The idea is that the universes cross over now. So
yeah, exactly.
If we're going by like comics rules, which is the closest thing to wrestling rules that there is that there's now like all crossovers, so we can all like Input. You got Impact, you've got New Japan, you've got ROH, and you got AEW. So
yeah.
But and I think it's a good time too, because it'll help build ROH, and they can come over and take the belts, and AEW.
Yeah, they can kind of.
Oh God, yeah, hey, do what you're doing with your tag division with everything else.
Yeah, exactly.
And the men's singles. Specifically, but like. With everything else, it's obviously because like two of the EVPs and the people that help found the company are a tag team.
Yeah.
So
and they're a really good tag team.
It's not like reason.
It's not like they're just booking themselves because of who they are. They're the Young Bucks.
Oh no, they're like
they're one of the best tag teams. Yeah. So, it would be nice. And I would hope to see it would be cool to see like Motor City make its way back to ROH some, and like, because they were there for
I
a while.
watching them wrestle.
Yeah, me too. I'm glad that they have the strong titles, because then that means I can see them like wrestle other people. Like, not that it's just there's only so many people they can wrestle in Impact, so it's nice to get the strong stuff, because then I can see them against like teams that I like over there. Like, I really like West Coast Wrecking Crew. There's TMDK. There's all kinds of fun
my
stuff
favorites
over in strong. So yeah, I really am glad that Motor City can get some new matches in. So I would not so I would like to see them versus Top Flight. Like, that would be awesome.
Oh, hell yeah.
That would be amazing. Like, I would love that. So
I
Tony,
mean,
if you're listening,
so basically the forecast for 2023 pro wrestling is excellent, and is going to continue to be a love fest. And
yes,
that's fine with me.
Yeah, definitely. Me too.
What was the next match?
Yeah. So this will get into Final Battle. So Final Battle kicked off with Roosh and Dralistico, who they were joined by Jose the assistant and that traitor Preston Vance. were with them.
I caught most of this match. Then.
Yeah, and then they wrestled Blake Christian and AR Fox, which.
That's why I watched it.
What a crazy tag team! I was like, that team will rule. It's like that. I was like, I love each of them individually, but together it was a lot of fun to watch them. It was really cool.
That actually was a really fun match, and I'm just so like, I'm such an AR Fox mark. I'm just gonna say it right now. Great. Part of it is obviously just the personal experience of like standing next to the dude at so many shows for like 3 years, and just knowing that he's actually just a legit human, like awesome person, and also that I really like watching him wrestle.
Yeah, same. He's so good. And
I was gonna kind of roll through this because I was obviously trying to catch up, but because I heard, I was like, and then I was like, oh no, wait, this is AR Fox. And so I sat and ended up watching the whole match.
Yeah, and it's worth it. Yeah, it was an enjoyable match. Like, I enjoyed it. I heard the ending was kind of interesting. There are some talk that maybe Roosh and Dralistico went into business for themselves, which is not a surprise considering the people who were involved. But it was interesting because I think that was what was supposed to happen, but AR Fox's face when they won was just kind of like. And so now I was like, wait, that was the correct ending though, right? So I don't know, but it was enjoyable for me anyway, whether that's what was supposed to happen or not.
What we're meant to think.
That is true. But yeah, so it was fun. It's interesting to see Preston out there in a suit and being able to see his face and stuff. So it'll be interesting to see.
Lonnie was devastated by his betrayal of the Dark Order and a young child.
Terrible.
Terrible. I really did enjoy their presentation. I'm not gonna lie.
No,
I really enjoy it. They have like a Caprice and Ian have I
love them so much.
Caprice Coleman. I was saying this as I was finishing up right before we jumped on here, and I just said Caprice Coleman is like, he's such a treasure.
He is. I love that dude, and not just because he's from Charlotte. He's amazing.
Oh, that makes it better.
Yeah,
that's fantastic.
I love Caprice. He's great, and he's so good with Ian, and Ian's so much fun, and I enjoy him, and they're so good together. Like, I enjoy getting to hear Ian when he's on commentary on AEW, and the times they've had Caprice, but they're just so much better together. They're just
doing their ROH thing.
Yeah, and those two they've done so much for ROH, and they really love that company, and you can tell, and you can hear it, and everything's so authentic with them, and you can tell how much they love that brand, and they love the people who wrestle there, and it's really nice. I enjoy it.
Yeah, because they're in story. They're like, they talk about the honor rules, and they make sure that, and they always make Ian does such a good job of making an issue of like, gosh, that's important. Like, he makes me feel, oh my God, that's important. Like,
they're
really obviously it's important, but he really like does like he big ups to them. It's
they're fantastic, and they're really good about, for people who maybe have not watched ROH ever or in a while or anything, like, they're really good about explaining things, but they don't talk down to you. Like, they include you. It's like they're including you in the conversation. Like, you're sitting in front of them and they're like, okay, well, see, this is what happened here, and they have this history here, and like it flows really well, and they're so funny. And like, I love Ian's references. He's so good about making such timely references to things, and he makes references like 80s and 90s kids things, which I appreciate. So it's so much fun to listen to. So and they're always just such happy. And then you can tell, like, when they don't like Ian obviously is not a fan of Jericho's, and it came across really well during the match last night, and it was, or in the main event, it was really good. It just adds a lot to it. I really enjoy them, and I'm glad that they are still around, and I'm glad that now that I guess they're doing the Honor Club stuff, they'll be around and get to be on, they'll be actively there and stuff. So that's really nice. But so yeah, that was a fun match. Blake Christian and AR Fox got the win there. So the very second match was the women's match. It was Mercedes Martinez versus Athena for the ROH Women's Championship. This was a really fun match. I think that Athena was a really great opponent for Mercedes. And Athena, if you've been watching, I know she's shown a little bit on TV, but even if you've been watching Dark and things like that, you've seen how aggressive she's gotten. And like, it all started back with her match with Jody Threat, which was a really, really good match, but it was really hard hitting. And Athena just like, she hit her with a drop kick like really hard and sent her crashing through the barricades. And apparently people online got a little mad about it, and I don't know why, because if it was a man, they wouldn't have said anything. Yeah, because if it was a man, they wouldn't have said a damn thing.
I mean, I don't. It just, there's sometimes like.
Yeah, but so Athena has been, so they let her just go with it. Like, supposedly she and Jody got a talking to, but then Athena has been she's still been doing it in her matches. And like, some of her matches have been really short because she's just beating the crap out of these women. And then she's just
I mean, it's like if it was Chris Jericho or something, they would start doing it all the time.
Yeah, exactly.
They would like start doing it all the time though.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I almost want the women. Sometimes I'm just like, there was like that week that we talked about where Saraya took the extra time on the mic or whatever. It's like, I wish they would do more of that.
Me too.
Because you don't think that's what Jon Moxley's doing when he's like cutting a promo. Like, just do that. That's how you get over. That's how Becky got over when she, like, the year that she went to WrestleMania 35. They couldn't, like, they wanted to turn her heel so bad, and she just wouldn't let them.
Well, and they tried to turn her heel again, like the last time she was there, and now she's back as a babyface because she's so, you can't boo her.
Man.
I mean, yeah, exactly. So and it kind of goes back to the MJF stuff, like we've talked about, like, how do people like to cheer him? They don't like to boo him. They didn't like to boo Kenny in New Japan. They just, sometimes you just have to go with what the fans want to do. But yeah,
that's my biggest I like Rage Out Athena. I know that it's taken some criticism because they're like, what's her gimmick? She's just mad.
She's a badass woman. That's her gimmick. That's Mercedes' gimmick too. Mercedes' gimmick is that she's a badass she's the badass who doesn't get she doesn't get the credit she deserves. And so she has to just kick everybody's ass to make people pay attention. And then Athena's like, okay, well, I can do that too. So
I kind of like it. She reminded me of what I like. They underused, and when she was in NXT, she was great at Ember Moon. But when they brought her to the main roster, and I actually got to see her for like 4 seconds at the SmackDown that we went to in Detroit, and it was like, God, I dig her so much. Like, she's got so much to offer.
She does. She's fantastic, and so I'm really glad that she's doing what she's doing now, because it's really interesting, and it's kind of a different side than we've really seen of her. And she was doing some of this, and she was doing some of this on the indies, from what I understand. And then I wish they had explained this a little bit beforehand, but we know how we all know about how the builds are for some of these matches. But apparently Mercedes and Athena have like history going all the way back to Shimmer, and so that's kind of, because people are like, why am I supposed to care?
Oh, that's right. So, they did bring that up on the table. They did bring that up on the table.
Yeah, they did. Well, and during Rampage, they showed like a little video to like build up the match, and they talked about it then. And then she was like, basically she was like, I've known Athena for a long time, and she was like, I made her what she is, and she was like, so she was like, Athena's gonna respect me, and Athena was like, no. But yeah, it was a really good match. They got over 13 minutes.
Okay, I was gonna ask you because it really felt like a match. I was
like,
they are letting them wrestle.
Yeah,
here.
They got time, which was really nice, and it told so if you've watched the last couple episodes, you know that Mel and I predicted that Athena was going to win, and that's where they were going with this, and we were kind of, and I'm still not I'm thrilled for Athena because I really do like her. I'm a fan of hers, but I also really love Mercedes, and Mercedes does not get the love that she deserves. She doesn't get the attention or the credit she deserves. Her title run was not that great, and yes, some of it is due to injury, and so she missed time, but they didn't book, shockingly, they don't know how to book women sometimes. And so yeah, so I'm disappointed in that. But if ROH is going to, it would make more sense if ROH was going to TV. But since that's apparently not the case here, I was a little surprised. On the one hand, I'm not surprised that Athena won, but I was like, well, if they're just going to Honor Club, then it's almost like, why not let Mercedes just keep the title? But then, I mean, Athena has so much momentum right now, and everybody's talking about her, and you kind of have to. It's kind of like the Acclaim thing, not that she's that type of over, but people are talking about her and paying attention to her. So now she's hot right now. You have to put the title on her, and so and it moves her out of the TBS championship picture, gives her something else to focus on and to do, and then she kind of gets to rebuild whatever Women of Honor is going to look like now. Athena gets to be the face of that, which I think is really cool.
Yeah, I think that's the right way to go with.
Yeah, and like we said, you have to. Mercedes is the anchor of that division. You have to let her still be that anchor. And she's still got to be, that's the one that she's the woman that everybody has got to basically they all have to impress her. They gotta and I assume that whenever they're I'm guessing Serena is probably going to move back over to Women of Honor as well. So you would have, so then you have Mercedes and Serena anchoring that division, and then you have Athena as the face, and then you bring in Trisha Dora, would be, that's somebody who's phenomenal. And then hopefully they'll bring in some other women out there. I think that Willow stays. I think Willow stays in AEW just because she does have the graphic, and she is all elite, and she's somebody who you and I have talked about potentially being the one to be the TBS champion, even if it's not the very next. If she's not the one to take the title off Jade, I see her being a champion within the next year or so. So I think they will probably keep her on that side. But there are despite what Billy Corgan says, there are a lot of good women out there on the indies who Ring of Honor should bring in, especially. And Maria works hand in hand with so many of them with Women's Wrestle Army. So maybe they should listen to her and bring in some women there. But what do I know?
Listen to that guy anyway. I mean, I give you credit for buying the NWA and making sure that it didn't die. That's fine. But
he is making so many questionable decisions, and I feel bad. Poor Josiah, who has sometimes has checked in on our show before. He covers it for the Observer, and bless his heart, I know he gets paid for it, but God, he has to sit through some terrible crap. Last week, he was telling us about some of the stuff that happened, and it nearly broke Josiah. And he was like, "I don't swear, but." Because he's a pastor, so he trusts not to use the swear words. But it was, Billy is driving him. I was like, Billy Corgan is going to be the thing that breaks Josiah, and then I'm going to be real mad at Billy Corgan. We're gonna have heat if he breaks Josiah,
big time, because Josiah is solid, awesome people.
He is awesome people, and I will be mad.
One of the Viking Media fam. Come on,
he's great. We love him. Let's see. So the next match,
one.
Yes, was a match that people didn't like the build for of this either, shockingly. It's Swerve in Our Glory versus Shane Taylor and JD Griffey. This match was awesome.
I knew all the way through this one.
I knew that it would be awesome. I was right. It was awesome.
The parts I saw were awesome. I like all those wrestlers. There's nothing bad about any
JD
of those
Griffey
wrestlers.
I've seen him a couple of times. He's been on Dark and Elevation, and I feel like I've seen him. I don't know if it was on. I don't know exactly where I saw him, but he
you watch a lot of wrestling though. So
I do.
In fairness, Like,
yeah, he was but he was really good. And he really, with those three men, like he really held his own. Because obviously those are the three big names. But he's kind of the new guy for a lot of people. And so I thought he really held his own. He looked really good. And so it was really fun because like the fans were wanting, like they were wanting Keith Lee and Shane like right off the bat. And then Ricky wouldn't let Ricky Swerve would not let that happen. He tagged him, so like Keith was in, and then they tagged Shane Taylor tagged in, and then Swerve tagged Keith out and like would not let it happen. And the fans were like, "You're like, what the hell are you doing?" And so they made us.
We're gonna come down there, and we're gonna freak out.
Yeah, the fans were really into and then so when they finally did get their moment of being, it was sick, and I think if I remember correctly, I believe Ian said it was 6 years to the day that Keith left. Shane Taylor was yesterday, was 6 years to the day, I believe. And so that was really cool just to have that. And so the fans were super into like when they finally got to be in the ring together and they just beat the crap out of each other. Like it was really good. And then they had and then because talk about big meaty men slapping meat, because good lord. It was one thing, and like Keith Lee picked Shane Taylor up and like had a crossbody on him, and I was like, "What the hell?" I was like, "Remember when people questioned this man's cardio, and now he's lifting Shane Taylor?"
Like, he's looking great. He's definitely getting his like his rhythm back, his vibe. I don't know. He's hitting his stride because he's been really good lately.
Yeah, he has been. So I really enjoy the story of like, so that is like when Shane came back, he was like, he was like, you left Swerve in his match. You left me 6 years ago. You left JD Griffey. Like, why do you keep leaving your family? And so now I'm going to make you pay for it. And so like, that's the story they were telling. And then, so Swerve Keith Lee mistakenly, he was going to hit, I think he was trying to hit Shane Taylor, and Shane moved and he hit Swerve and knocked Swerve down. And then you could just see the look on his face. It was like, oh God, I fucked up. Like I did not mean to do this. We've already have all this tension between us. Like this is like, he could just see, he's like, this is going to make everything so much worse. I did not mean to do that. And his facial expressions just sold it really well. And so Swerve left him after that. Swerve was like, I'm not. So I don't know if Swerve was always planning to kind of leave him or if that just kind of pushed him over. And then so he did the same thing that happened at Full Gear that Keith Lee did to him. He just slowly walked away and stood at the top of the ramp and watched Keith Lee get beat up. And so it's really interesting. It seems like they're still so I don't know if this is because we thought they were broke up a few weeks ago and they're still together. So do they work things out, or does Swerve be like,
they're like Becky and Sasha? They keep breaking up and then they keep getting back together, and then they break up and they get back together. They just can't. They just and so a weird kind of love for each other.
They do, but one thing I really do like, I have enjoyed heel Swerve. It's fun. It's a really cool thing to see, and especially for somebody that's so over, like you aren't really sure sometimes how a heel turn would work in that situation, but like he's really done a really great job with it, and I think Keith Lee is the perfect foil for that too. I think he's
like the nicest person in the universe.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Kind of got a natural baby face thing. I mean, he can heel, but to me, and maybe that's just because I've met the guy, but also like he has a very natural sort of, even when he's like doing the professor stuff where he's all like, using the big words.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's hard because I also love watching a guy that size do like, moonsaults and freaking flips and like a
me too.
Freaking guy that's the size of Ray Fenix or something, like
right. Yeah, and I was thinking about that during that match. I was like, I get big meaty men slapping meat in this match, and I get like flippy shit too. I was like,
he's like, that's why I love those guys. That's like, I mean, it's like, how do you take that amount of mass and control it that well?
Yeah,
like, that is
that's some skill.
It's amazing. I love watching him wrestle, and I'm so glad that he's finding he really seems to be finding his footing. Maybe ROH is just the place for him. Like,
Maybe.
I mean, it's not as if, again, we can't. It's not like we can't have crossovers.
Yeah,
Let's crossovers.
right. Exactly.
There's a future awesome match for him somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
And
yeah, definitely.
So, but I did actually get most of this match.
Good.
And now that you're saying it as you're talking about it, I'm like, oh no, I must have like caught way more than I realized.
It was. I enjoyed it. It was a really good match. And so then the next match was for the 6-man titles. It was Dalton Castle and the Boys versus the Embassy, which was Brian Cage and Gates of Agony, who are Toa Leona and Khan, and then Prince Nana is their manager. And of course, the Embassy has a lot of history in ROH, especially over the last few years. They were one of the bigger factions there. This was, and I mean, I'm just always excited to see Dalton Castle. Like, I just get, I'm just happy literally every time I see him.
It's nice to see him on TV this week.
And so it was. And so
I'm excited.
That he's one of those people we've talked about several times. Like, that's somebody who should be on TV, which he should be on TV every week. So that's one of the disappointing things about Ring of Honor going back to Honor Club and not being on TV, because somebody like Dalton Castle should be on TV all the time, especially in a company where you have Orange Cassidy and Danhausen.
Well, if they don't flip, I'm gonna like, this is gonna be a pet peeve of mine forever, and everyone's gonna come know me for it. Is if they don't fix that Bleacher Report platform, they're not getting my money, and they can kiss my big behind on all that stuff, because like I'm sorry, but it's 2023 in 3 weeks.
Yeah. Yeah, there's no
streaming platform. There's like,
especially when you're having all of these events and you have like,
you can't ask me to pay you that kind of money and have a pay-per-view and not make, and for Christ's sake, would you build an app for my freaking TV? It's a pretty standard Samsung. Like, lots of people have my TV.
Right. Yeah, exactly. It's not like it's just make it happen. It's ridiculous. So this this match was it's okay. The match
I won't do it anymore today.
No, I'm sure. No, you are correct in everything that you are saying. You are 100% correct. But so this was interesting. They made an interesting choice here. They had the Embassy win. They had Dalton Castle and the Boys drop the titles, which I think is stupid as hell. I don't understand.
Which is an unpopular result here at the Powerbombshells program.
I don't. Well, and we texted our friends who are Dalton Castle fans, and they were not watching the show, and we told them, and they were like, "Why would you do Dalton like that? Like, Dalton has been in Ring of Honor, like he's one of those people that is synonymous with ROH. Like, why would you do that to him? Especially when
get the Embassy and all that crap over.
Yeah, really, and then hard. Which I know they had to start and stop, because they had Tully, and then Tully was like, I got other things to do. I'm not gonna buy. And so they've got Prince Nana, which I like Prince Nana, and he has a lot of stuff. He's an ROH guy too that's been around for a long time. So like those things I get, but like it's Dalton freaking Castle, like, and it's the Boys. Like they're a package deal. Like when they tried to have when the Tate twins were not there and they had other boys, like it just didn't have the same kind of magic and it just didn't work as well. But unless they were moving Dalton Castle back into the title picture, maybe that's where they're going with this. Maybe. But they just won. They won those titles back, I think, at Death Before Dishonor. They defended them a few times on YouTube. And I think part of the reason, and
this week was more of an exhibition for the weekend. So.
Right. And then they kind of also, in a way I get it, because you have the trio, the brand new trios, and then these are 6-man titles. But I think most people are smart enough to figure out that they are two separate types of titles. Like you don't have to defend the trios and the 6-man on the same show. Like you can do one or the other, like you do with the women. But I was like, so I don't know what the decision behind that was. And so unless they're moving Dalton into the title picture, which I would not be mad at, because he's been champion before. But that was one of the things that I just was not thrilled with when I saw it last night. It was really, I will say, we got a really funny promo from Dalton afterwards. I retweeted it earlier. It was a backstage, or it was last night, but they did a backstage like interview, like they had Lexi with him, and he was like, it was very Dalton Castle. He's like, what in the dickens just happened? He was like, how? he was like, and then they have yes, and he said it like 2 or 3 times, and then Trustbusters walks up and he looks at Ari and he said, I am enraged, and Ari's like, all right, well. And so basically he was saying that he just was basically, he was like, look at you and the boys, and was talking about, he's like, look at your presentation. Meanwhile, Slim J is over here in this sparkly, he has some sparkly hat thing on his head, and I was like, why? Okay. So it seems like the Trustbusters, so I which is what I figured when they put the Trustbusters together. Trustbusters are probably going to be an ROH thing. It sounds like they're all moving them over there. I guess they're going to
I only chuckle because of the fact that James has a lot of fun calling them like Dave and Busters and Mr. Busters
I
and
will
Mythbusters, like, and
there you go.
But it's like, so every time you talk about them intelligently, and they're always so confused about them. And I mean, that's not like it's actually pretty funny that, because, you know, just a different wrestling thing, but it made me think about it and made me laugh.
Well, yes. So Dave and Busters are probably moving to ROH, which I just now realized that means Sunny Kiss will still not be on TV. So
awesome.
I was like,
sounds great.
It literally just dawned on me, and I was like, but it's interesting because, so I will real quick, because we are talking about Sunny Kiss. Saraya did say she was talking about like women she would like to face, because Doc over at Bleacher Report did an interview with her this week, or well, it came out this week. And she did mention, she was like, I know she competes with the men, but if they let Sunny wrestle women, I want to wrestle Sunny. And I was like, oh, that could be fun. And I was like, and having somebody like Saraya backing Sunny in the women's division, I think that's
huge.
That's a big deal if that happens. And so I was like, and just having that out there publicly, I think is a really good thing. So yeah, I don't know what that means for Sunny. I mean, I guess even with ROH being back on the Honor Club, I don't know if some of these wrestlers will still cross over to the YouTube stuff. So I don't know if Sunny is now going to be relegated to Honor Club only, or if she will still be able to be at least on the YouTube shows, but it sounds like she will not be on AEW TV, which I just realized, and now I'm irritated about that. Damn it. So after that match, after that match, they did a backstage segment between Top Flight and Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Luke, and they were like, I think it was Cool Hand Luke. He was like, it's a miracle that both of you, that neither one of you got hurt during this match. It's like, damn. And so they started fighting like through the back, and then they came through and were fighting through the crowd a little bit. So it looks like we're starting a program with these 4 men. So that'll be interesting to see. I was like, that's not really the tag team I saw. But Daddy Magic and Cool Hand Luke, they are as much fun as they are like character wise. They are a really solid tag team. So it's good. And the Top Flight, that's probably good for them too, since they're just kind of getting back in the swing of things as a team, to be with a veteran tag team like that. Like, I think they could do a lot of fun stuff. And
being on TV is a lot of pressure, no matter how you want to slice
exactly.
it. There's a lot of like nuts and bolts to the TV side of things.
Right. And Darius has been gone for so long. Like, but Dante's used to being on TV because he was there a lot. So Darius is gonna have to get back in the swing of things. So I think having, guys, because they are veterans, and so I think having them, I think that could be a good series for them, even if it ends up just being like 2 to 3 matches or something like that until they move on to the next thing that they're doing. So that'll be interesting to see. So then the next match was Daniel Garcia versus Wheeler Yuta for the Pure Championship. This, of course, was another really good match between them. I thought about this last night. I was like, these are two, like we always talk about how MJF and Jack Perry are probably always destined to wrestle each other. And things like that. I think Daniel Garcia and Wheeler Yuta are always going to be destined to wrestle each other, no matter where they are in the company. I mean, I do agree with the fact that even though they put on excellent matches, it's time to kind of see other people fighting for the pure championship, and they need to, they've got, like, I mean, there is Josh Woods. They did that for a little bit. It's almost like they had somebody who was a pure champion, but then he left. So now Jonathan Gresham is not there anymore. But I mean, at least it did open the doors.
Well, maybe somebody else will emerge too. I mean, they have a lot of talent. Yeah. So it's a good way for, I mean, Blackpool is obviously like dealing with some Blackpool is not fine. They are
not fine. They are trying to fix because there was some, which we'll get to about them. But yeah, there were some interesting dynamics there. So then we did see there. So it was, Yuta and Garcia. And so Yuta used up his,
like immediately, right?
Yeah, like really quickly. And they were just like, because you're not supposed to use, is it closed fist strikes you're not supposed to use? Or was it something like, or was that open fist? Yeah, I think it's closed fist. And so they like were immediately using them, and like they were just hitting the shit out of each other last night. Like it was just, it's
supposed to be like more technically oriented.
Yeah,
like,
and they
when
were
you think about like grappling matches with like New Japan or something.
Yeah, right. Yeah, like a Zack Sabre Jr. match.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Perfect example. Yes.
Yeah, they were just beating the crap out of each other. No, it was so Daniel Garcia, he made Yuta use up his stuff pretty quickly, and and Daniel didn't lose any of his. And excuse me. It looked like Daniel was gonna retain, and it was a really solid match. And then Wheeler Yuta pulled it out at the end, and so our boy Yuta is 2-time pure or ROH pure champion.
Did they say the first 2-time pure?
I think ROH they did.
Champion?
I believe that is correct. I believe so.
I mean, that's a good story.
It is.
Want to say anything? I mean, if nothing else, like that's a really good story for.
It is.
Oh my gosh, this never happened before.
Right, especially from somebody who has come from Blackpool Combat Club. Like, so it's like, okay, so their training does work. They will beat the shit out of you, and then you will be a champion.
Yeah,
like they will beat you into being a champion, basically.
Well, when you consider the end result, I mean, it kind of fits together. So
it does. Yeah, it does. It does fit, and so I really enjoy Garcia.
I could watch these two wrestle all the time.
I could. I do want to.
I know some people get bored with it. I really don't. And no, they seem like they come to wrestle each other every time. It's not like they get bored with it either.
No. And so I do want to see. I was like, I guess, I mean, there is Tony Nese, there is Josh Woods, which Josh Woods was a former pure champion. So we'll probably see Yuta face some of them some more, and then I'm sure their paths will circle back around to Daniel Garcia, whether there's a title involved or not. Those two, they'll cross paths again. But yeah, I enjoyed that match. That was probably one of my favorite matches of the night, just because they're so much fun to watch. The next match happened earlier than I expected, but I guess because they were trying to separate stuff out, it probably was at the perfect time. It just seemed earlier, and it was the double dog collar match between the Briscoes and FTR. It was only for the ROH championships, not FTR's 98 other titles that they have. It was specifically for that. This was the trilogy, or the final match, I guess, of the trilogy, rather, is what I'm trying to get at. This is the third time. There's some complaints about rematches here, but I mean, they've had some of the best matches in Ring of Honor like this year. Like, you gotta have to, and then
a little selfish, aren't you? How many great matches these guys have put on?
Yeah,
I think you can let it go a little.
Yeah, and so the double dog collar stipulation was a surprise, but it worked. I don't think, like, my favorite dog collar match, and granted I have not seen that many, so I know that people are gonna be like, there's all these stuff from the 80s, which yes, but I mean, Cody versus Brody Lee, like, that dog collar match was fantastic. It's one of my favorite matches that AEW has ever had, and I talked about it on the when they did the
Hall of Boom show.
Yes, the Hall of Boom, thank you. When they were when I was talking about the COVID era stuff, that was one of the matches, because I think there's so many good matches. It's crazy because the AEW's only been around like 3.5 years and they've already had so many good matches, but like that match sometimes is not talked about as much as it should be. And I think that's one of those matches that I think is a classic, not just because of, that ended up being one of Brody's last matches and all that. It was just a really good freaking match.
It was a good match. It was just so good. I'm not usually, I shouldn't say that, because I think over time I've actually just completely opened myself up to all of that at this point. It's like, this case was completely, I was like, this makes weirdly makes all the sense in the world. And it lived up to like any kind of, for me anyway, it lived up to like every kind of hype. That was one of the, like, the Caprice moments. That was where he said he only has one brain. Which quite possibly one of, because he was so worried about his friends, and I see them struggling here, and he's like, hit him in the head, and that's his only head. He only has one brain. And I was like, that is so quintessentially Caprice Coleman. I just there's nobody better to be calling this match right now.
Yeah, I enjoyed that match. A lot of you guys know that I'm not the biggest FTR fan, especially for some other reasons.
Yeah,
I'm not the biggest fans of them. The Briscoes, I have some issues with just because of everything, but it seems like it's not my place to say when I'm not in that community, so I don't get to say one way or another whether, to accept the things that they have said and done to potentially make amends for some really terrible things that were said in the past. It's not my place to say, because I'm not in that community. So it is a little, so sometimes I have some difficulties with that. So these two are, while they're both fantastic teams, they're not necessarily my favorites, but they always bring out the best in each other. They're phenomenal opponents. And I think this match, granted, with everything that we have seen from them so far, like I feel like this was a natural step, even though the dog collar stipulation was a little odd at first. Like, I think it fit with the story they've been telling each other, and they're just. It was really interesting to see it as a double dog collar, and I really enjoyed it. It was really interesting to see like how they work together to, like, I mean, obviously they work together as a tag team anyway, but now you have these long chains in the process, and you've got to try not to harm your own tag team partner while you're hurting someone else. Like, you have to, it's a fine balance of like, I might hurt my own partner trying to hurt this guy, and like, especially like the one spot that everybody's talking about is the one where was it Mark Briscoe that was on the top rope, and Cash Wheeler grabbed the chain and just yanked him down, jerked him right off the top rope into a pile of chairs. Like, it was brutal. And then you have to remember, Cash is attached to Dax, and the Briscoes are attached to each other. So while this one man goes flying through the air, like, he's attached to another man. Like, the spot's crazy on its own, but then you have to remember, like, this man is attached to his brother. Like, it was a crazy spot. It was really cool, but it was funny because I saw Cash had quote tweeted it, and he said, "Mama, I just killed a man." And I was like, "Yeah, I think you pretty much did. You might have killed two. You might have killed him. You might have." But yeah, that was
closer than ever.
Yeah, it was. I enjoyed it. They made it work. I thought it was really well done. It was fun. It was a fun match. The Briscoes ended up winning, which I was a little surprised.
Yeah. So like, and I subscribe sort of to the Dave Meltzer like mentality on this one when it comes to the Briscoe situation, is that like, it shouldn't be a life sentence. Like being an idiot, it shouldn't be a life sentence.
Especially if you are actively trying to not be that idiot too. Like, I think,
and we're talking about 10 years.
Yeah, and we're talking, and
again, like you said, it's not even our place beyond much of what we're talking about.
Right. Because Ian Riccaboni has talked about it a few times about what he has personally seen and how he believes they have made amends. And then Ian was talking about it again this week. And Ian actually made the statement that he believes gender is a spectrum, and he's not saying like where he is on the spectrum, but I guess his point was like the Briscoes accept him and maybe, and, you know, and other people, not just Ian. And Effie has, you know, Effie wrestled them, and that ruffled some feathers when Effie wanted to, he wrestled the Briscoes, because Effie, if you are not familiar with him, is openly gay. He is proudly gay. He has merch that says wrestling is gay. Like he's very open about who, and honest about who he is. And so when he wrestled the Briscoes a few months ago, that definitely ruffled feathers within their own community. And so I don't want to speak for Effie because you know, that's not my place. But if somebody like Effie is wrestling them, then he, even if it's just for himself personally, obviously Effie is not going to speak for everybody in the community. Then you know, Effie felt comfortable enough to work with him is my point. And so yeah,
I mean, it has to be, and if you want to measure it against like all of the criminal weirdness that's going on in wrestling, and people who are like, I mean, there's like some of the shit that Braun Strowman has said, and he is on TV like every week. So right. I mean,
well, and there's people with titles. They actually AEW this week brought the person that they brought in to wrestle Orange Cassidy was named her and speaking out. So I have a huge problem with that. And there are people who were named and speaking out who still get featured in AEW regularly. So it's still an issue, you know, everywhere. And so there are. And then,
so how are they going to do that is really what the crux of the like entire thing is. Like, so they just gave the Briscoes the titles. I mean, I guess it's because they're not going to be on TV.
That's my guess. I think that's what it is. They're not going to be on TV.
Going to be because streaming.
From what I think the issue was not. It wasn't that Tony Khan had the issue. It was that Warner Brothers Discovery had the issue. Warner Brothers
said,
and they were like, "You can't be on TV." So that is why they have not been on TV. And so I guess
it has absolutely. That is a company that comes from the top. They don't want them on TV. That's
right, because of the comment that was made. I think it's like
their advertisers don't approve, and that's it, and that's the end of the conversation.
And so Tony, so yes, I think last night was okay. We're going to be on Honor Club. I'm giving you your titles back.
Yeah,
because they couldn't. I guess because if the Briscoes were the champions, the Ring of Honor tag team titles would have never been on TV, and so they put them on FTR to get them on TV. But that's
not terrible. I mean, they've won it like a million times. They said so. It's like
the Briscoes have been multi times. They're probably. I mean, besides the
yell for the
and besides the Young Bucks, like the Briscoes are probably. I mean, they are arguably the most popular. Or they're the like the probably Ring of Honor's best tag team. Like just title wise, and how many times they've held it and defended it. Like you can make the argument that like they're even more so than the Young Bucks were for Ring of Honor, because they've been there for a long time, and I'm pretty sure they've held the titles more than the Young Bucks did there. So the Briscoes, that's another team that is synonymous. Those are two more wrestlers that are synonymous with ROH, like we talked about with some other people. Like so those are guys that when you think of Ring of Honor, like that's that's probably the tag team you think of. And so what I thought was interesting though is that what happens to the Kingdom now, because the Kingdom came out on AEW television and said they never got their rematch for the tag team titles. I thought that's what the match was gonna be. Like I thought before they announced they were wrestling the Briscoes, I thought they were gonna wrestle the Kingdom for the titles at Final Battle. And so now because I was like, I guess it's not necessarily the opponents that they want, it's the shot at the titles. So did the Kingdom do they get their title shot against the Briscoes now, and are they moving them to the ROH brand, because they've not been on AEW television since that first night. And if they are going to use Maria creatively on the Ring of Honor side, or the Women of Honor side of things, then it would make sense, I guess, to move the Kingdom over there with her. And then it seems like they're all going, because the Kingdom, you know, that's another team that was synonymous with ROH. They're a really big group over there, a big faction, and there's been multiple iterations of them, but it's always been, you know, Bennett and Taven. So I'm assuming they're going to get title shots at some point. And then at the end of the match, the Ass Boys came out.
Oh, that's yeah.
They came out. They challenged FTR, and so it seems like It seems like that's going to be, I mean, that feud's been building on AEW television. So I think that's probably, I'm assuming I assume that's going to be the feud going into the new year is going to be FTR versus the Ass Boys, which is not something I ever expected, but they have proved they are a solid team. Like they have really improved, over the last year. And it was, I will say I did see them. They did the suck it gesture last night. So they did get that in.
Well, good for them. Congratulations, Jen.
Yes. So yes,
keeping the dream alive, carrying that torch.
Right. So the next match was Samoa Joe versus Juice Robinson for the ROH TV Championship match. This is another match that people complained about because it didn't have a build, but I'm like, it's Juice Robinson, and what are you complaining about? But and Samoa Joe is king of television, so why wouldn't Juice? And that was Juice's point. He was like, I have been a champion, a multi-time champion in New Japan, but in America, I've not been.
Right.
And so it's time to prove myself, and so I'm going right for Samoa Joe. Makes sense to me.
Seems pretty obvious. I mean, it may be like really short term, but I mean,
yeah, right, yeah. And so, and Juice,
sure, why not?
Juice is with AEW. He did not get a graphic, but Excalibur did say that when Juice would be competing against Samoa Joe, he would be doing so as an AEW roster member, which had been the talk. Like he supposedly signed like a few weeks ago, but I actually didn't see it. A friend of mine did, and he was like, they're saying Juice signed, and I had not heard anything. And then that was just like 4 or 5 weeks ago, I think, maybe even longer than that. So he is with AEW. Because he didn't get a graphic, I'm wondering if they're moving him to ROH.
Interesting. And so it's because like he went through all that stuff with New Japan, and he was gonna do it, and then he wasn't gonna do it.
Well, and see, that may be so. If ROH is gonna be, I guess if ROH is gonna have it, well, obviously AEW is the one who has the relationship with New Japan. But if they're gonna bring it back to ROH TV, then Juice is the guy. Juice is in Bullet Club, right? You have Bullet Club so now you have Bullet Club in ROH if they move him there. Which it seems, so I don't know what Juice is doing. I don't know if that's where they're going, or if Juice is going to be one of the guys that floats back and forth between AEW and ROH type of thing. So it would almost make sense they did not put the title on Juice last night, but I could see them putting the title on Juice in the future and then having Juice go back and forth between ROH and AEW and New Japan. Because that apparently, again, I was not on the media call this week, but apparently that was a question that was asked, that if Juice were to win the ROH TV title, would he be able to go to New Japan with that title? And he said, we'll just have to see how it plays out. So that is definitely something that could, especially in a Forbidden Door type of situation.
Yeah.
So there's a point there.
Exactly.
It seems like Juice could probably be the TV champion at some point, and then he can wrestle at Forbidden Door with that title, or he can go to Strong, because he has wrestled. He's wrestled Strong quite a few times. He and Blake Christian are in a feud as we speak. Like they wrestled last Saturday. And Blake is somebody who is signed to AEW under the ROH brand. So it sounds like Juice and Blake are going to probably move their feud.
That works.
They can feud basically on Strong and on ROH, like if they wanted to, and if Gato wanted them to. But so there's some possibilities there. So I do see, even though Juice did not win last night, I do see Juice probably getting that championship within the next year, because I think just the way they're building things. Again, I have no idea exactly what's going on with Ring of Honor. I don't know if Tony has really an idea of what's happening with Ring of Honor. So keeping the title on Samoa Joe does make sense, but Juice. Juice did have a new theme that was really interesting. It was not a theme I expected from somebody from Illinois to have. It was kind of this Texas like cowboy theme. I was like, what is going on here?
He is known for doing all kinds of crazy Juice gimmicks.
Juice just walks to the beat of his own drum, which is probably one of the reasons I like him so much.
Yeah.
He just does his own thing. But he had new trunks that said Juice in big white letters across the back of it. He had new boots that had like flames on them. I liked his new gear. I was like, this is a different look for Rock Hard, but he's making it work. His theme is interesting. My biggest complaint about this is the match seemed really short. Like, I don't know if they cut time, like if somebody ran too long, so they got time cut for them. That match seemed a lot shorter than it should have. But I mean, on the one hand, I guess Samoa Joe should beat Juice quickly. I mean, it wasn't like it was a squash. It wasn't like a 5-minute match. It just seemed like the match was over quickly. But I guess somebody like Samoa Joe should beat somebody like Juice Robinson quickly. But it seemed short, especially for a title match. That was the penultimate match of the show. It was right before the main event. It just seemed like they kind of hurried up a little bit. So,
especially if you're trying to get him established in ROH.
Yeah.
You probably want to spend a little more than 6 minutes on it or something, you know.
Agreed.
But they,
yeah.
What do I know? That's just one woman's opinion.
Yes, exactly. So then it was main event time. It was Claudio and Jericho with the stipulation that if Claudio won or lost once again for the third time to Chris Jericho, that he would have to join the Jericho Appreciation Society and become a sports entertainer once again. And so this was a really good match. Like, and even like, and Garrett was saying like he thought he was probably one of the few people who was like really looking forward to this match because he just knew that they would kill it, which they did.
They did.
It was a really good match. And then it really, like, I think Ian kind of drove it home because Ian's on commentary just like, please, Claudio, just beat his ass, basically. That's what he was getting at. He was like openly rooting for Claudio.
Oh, yeah, no, there was no like, he's like, I hate this guy. He doesn't belong.
Understandably so.
He does. I mean, it was perfect. It really.
And then poor Caprice is like, well, I understand why you're upset, but Jericho has done this, and that. Like, Jericho is legit. Like, you can be mad about it, but he's legit. And Ian's like, I know, but I hate this guy.
I hate him. He's stupid. Kick his ass.
Yeah, right. And then it was interesting because Claudio was selling the back pain a lot, and so he relied on the uppercuts so much. There were so many, like, if you played a drinking game of every time Claudio hit an uppercut in that match, you would have been drunk halfway through the match. Like, he was trying to pick, like, he couldn't pick Jericho up, and he was like grabbing his back, so he just like uppercut, and he was just, and you know how Claudio's uppercuts are. They're so vicious and violent. And then it was interesting. There was one cool move that was when he was swinging him and Jericho was able to get out of it, and he grabbed Claudio and put him in the lion tamer. And I was like, oh, that was really cool to see. But yeah, so it was cool. And I noticed Jericho had like new gear. He had a new pants and he had a new jacket. It was black and gold. Like he looked like a champion. Like it was like he was ready last night. And then Claudio won in a very interesting fashion. And also shout out to ROH's Instagram for spoiling this match for me. And also, I opened it by mistake. Like, I wasn't even trying to open Instagram. I clicked it by mistake. And ROH, the first thing that pops up is Claudio. And I was like, oh my God, Nikki's like across the room talking to a family member. And I was like, Nikki, come here. And she was like, what? I said, I just saw a really big spoiler. I said, do you want to know? And she was like, let me see if I get spoiled first. So she did it. She did not know until we watched the match that Claudio won. So she did. And I did
not expect Claudio to win.
I didn't either, because
that to me, I was like, this seems really obvious that they're just going to leave this belt on Jericho because especially the selling point.
The selling point. And then also that was the Bullet Club. Like, I mean, not Bullet Club, but if Blackpool is breaking up, then like you have, because we talked about like if Moxley's going to be a heel, Danielson is obviously he's going to go for revenge against MJF because of Regal. We don't know what they're going to do with Yuta. Yuta he'll probably follow one of them. And then, so Claudio's going to go to JAS. Like, I thought that's what they were going to do. I was like, okay, this is how they're going to implode everything. And then we see on Wednesday that Moxley's like, we're still here. Like, Danielson was noticeably absent, was not there. John Moxley did not mention his name in their promo. Like I noticed that I was like, he didn't say a thing about Danielson. Then Danielson's not here. Danielson was not at Rampage. And so then we get we got the message from Regal on why he really left them. So it seems like, I guess Blackpool is staying together, maybe with or without Danielson, I guess, is the question. I think him and Mox are going to have some animosity towards each other for a little bit. But yeah, so I was really surprised that Claudio won, but I'm very glad that he won. That's something you and I have talked about a lot, is why the hell does Claudio not have the title?
Yeah,
because
I didn't know why they took it off him. I mean, he should have
like,
had
how do you not get Clearly they did not get a TV deal, but prior to that, like, how do you not think you can get a TV deal with somebody like Claudio? Like, he's just cool as hell, and he's amazing, and he clearly loves Ring of Honor. Like, he's a Ring of Honor guy. Like, yes, he did spend a long time in WWE, but like he's still a Ring of Honor guy, and it's good to see him with the title. I thought that, and so apparently people hated the ending. I thought it was really unique. Like, I did not see that ending. Like, when they're like, he tapped out, and I was like, wait, he did what? So if you missed it, he's
it was
doing
like
the swing
right at the end.
Yeah, so he did the swing, and the crowds count. Well, Ian was counting, and I think Caprice was too. And then it was funny, they stopped because every time they were doing the counts last night, when they got to 8, the crowd would yell Ocho, and Paul Turner laughed. Like, one time he turned around and he kind of grinned, like, okay, that was funny. Like, I'll give you that. And then he goes back to counting, and then so when they were doing the spins, like, Ian's counting, and then they got to like 5 and he stopped because he was waiting for the crowd. And so the crowd counted by, so commentary is completely silent and the crowd is doing 6, 7, 8, and then so they're counting. He got to like, so I was like, okay, he's gonna get to 20. Then he kept going. I was like, all right, he'll get to 30. He got to like 34 and Jericho tapped, like, because he was, and Nikki made the point that, because I told her, I was like, yeah, apparently some people did not like the ending, and she was like, but she was like, that's Claudio's big thing. Like, Claudio does the swing. Like, why is it a surprise? And
that
I was like,
seemed awesome to me.
And as far as
I
know,
the ending. The ending surprised me. It was something that I had no earthly. To me, this was booked. This was in the can. Like, this was going to be a Jericho win, and I knew Claudio
was really surprised by everything.
And then a tap out, on Jericho, the swing.
I thought it was really, it's really unique. And as far as I know, nobody has ever tapped out to Claudio swinging them. Like, he doesn't get to that point. Like, I'm pretty sure that's the first time that's ever happened. Like, I'm if I'm wrong, I'm sure somebody will tell me. Yeah, exactly. So I'm very glad to see that Claudio is the champion again. He should have never lost the title in the first place. I love that Wheeler was out there to celebrate with him. I love that Jerry Lynn came out there to celebrate with him. Claudio was so excited. Like, he's throwing streamers and the fans are throwing him back, and he's catching it and throwing him back out there. And he was so happy. And like, I think that was the right call. I'm so glad that they did. I did not want him to be in JS. I did not want that to happen.
He was very, like, you could tell at Forbidden Door, because he's like free at last, like, you could tell. You could tell that he was back.
Very happy.
Like, and so he's just taken, for me, and just having seen him from then to now,
right?
It's like, he just was like, that was like, I'm back in wrestling again, and I'm able to do this thing, and I'm not, and I just love it. I'm really enjoying, because I'm not familiar with him previous.
No, and I'm not either. No, yes.
I have a friend who was a like Chikara. They went to because they live in the area. Right. So they went to like all the Chikara shows for years, like.
Right.
So, I mean,
and I was the same way. And we've talked about that before as well. Both you and I were mostly familiar with Cesaro and when he was in WWE. And so we weren't super familiar with Claudio. We knew
he had something. He was great in WWE.
And he's the guy that I never understood why he was not champion. And now he's a 2-time Ring of Honor champion, twice in 1 year. Like, that's so exciting.
Actually, now that I'm thinking about it, it was like, okay, maybe they did that on purpose, because he had like never won a championship.
Well, yeah. So then that's kind of the thing, because Nikki and I talked about that kind of briefly with Jericho. Like, Jericho, that he's held titles everywhere. ROH, he never would have had the opportunity to. but they also put the title on him to sell a TV deal, and then the TV deal didn't happen. So that's really interesting to me when Jericho helped them secure the AEW TV deal because he is a known name, but he can't secure an ROH deal. Like, something seems weird about that. Like, I didn't watch the scrum from last night. I haven't really heard a whole lot, but I did see.
Well, we know that there was no like fights or anything bad happened because we didn't hear about it immediately.
So I did see someone from Body Slam make the point, why did nobody ask Tony, was he actually trying to get a TV deal? How long did he try to get a TV deal? Has he been trying to revamp Honor Club this whole time and under the guise that he's getting a TV? Like, why didn't they make Rampage ROH hour like AEW? Because now it's like AEW Presents Ring of Honor is like the official name of it. So why isn't this AEW Presents Ring of Honor on Friday night? Like, why isn't it ROH Rampage basically? Like, why? Or why is it not? Because somebody else asked, why is it not on True TV? Like, you have True TV is basically the Impractical Jokers. Like, there's only so much content that's on there, and it's a lot of repeated stuff. So why don't you use True TV to test out TV stuff? Like, so I'm really surprised by that Honor Club is back and that they could not get a TV deal with Chris Jericho when that was the whole reason to put the title on Jericho.
One would think.
So we had just had somebody join in real quick and say that the ROH Final Better was amazing. NXT Deadline was mid. I did not see NXT Deadline. I did see there were two. So last night there were two different wrestling shows, and each of them had an Eddie spot on them. So Jericho did the spot where Daddy Magic snuck him in the bat and he hit Claudio and then threw it and he laid down too, like Eddie used to do. So he did do that. But then New Day and Pretty Deadly also did an Eddie spot during their match last night. And I saw the clip is really funny and they did a really great job with it. Theirs involved a chair and it involved all four of them, which was really well. So I was like, oh, look at, so two Eddie spots and two different companies last night. I mean, Jericho not frequently, but he uses the Eddie spot because obviously they were really good friends. So it's not a surprise when Jericho pulls it out, but it was cool to see. And New Day is actually the NXT tag team champions. They won the titles last night.
Oh, wow.
And so they are the first, Xavier said they are the first Triple Crown NXT tag team champions because they have won tag team titles for Raw, SmackDown, and now NXT. And I saw another tweet, I don't know if this has been verified, but saying that Xavier has held the tag team titles 15 times in WWE, and he has held the title the most in WWE. Again, I don't know if that has been confirmed, but I did see that earlier today, which is incredible to think about.
That's so awesome.
I love Xavier. Like, Xavier is the guy, and I think we've talked about, like, I watched him when he was Consequences Creed back in TNA. Like, and I loved Consequences Creed. And so when I saw him show up in WWE, I was like, oh, this guy's awesome. Like, I can't wait to see him. And then Xavier is one of my, like, I just love that guy. Like, he's phenomenal as a wrestler and as a person, and just I love that guy. So I'm so happy for them.
That's fantastic. I mean, that's cool.
Yeah. And I did see also one other thing. There's some, and I'm not going to get the title right because I do not watch NXT, but there's some Iron Survivor match or something.
Oh,
I don't know the rules or any of that, but Roxanne won and Booker T cried. Like, there's a picture of him because he trained her at Reality of Wrestling, and he's been somebody that, has supported her for a really long time. And so I thought that was really cool to kind of see, because sometimes Booker T really gets on my nerves, and I know I complain about him, but that was a really cool moment to see. And I'm, good for him and I'm sure that meant a lot to Roxanne to be able to do that in front of the man who trained her. So I thought that's very cool. But yeah, so so back to the Ring of Honor stuff. I hope somebody asks these questions, like, how long did you actually try to get a TV deal? Why didn't you do True TV? Why didn't you repackage? Since Rampage, they're losing viewers. You're getting so much people are asking, telling you that Rampage sucks, and the numbers are not great. Like,
well, no, and it's been week over week. It's been not
right.
good.
And then you have Jon Moxley, who apparently was sick this week and didn't get his birthday off. But they wanted him to help Rampage get ratings. So they were like, can you please wrestle this match with Takeshita? So that's why Renee was not on Dynamite on Wednesday. She was sick. So Tony Schiavone filled in for her. And then I guess whatever she had, John had.
Well,
and then John went and put on a banger with Takeshita, and they had an amazing match on Friday night. And so so it'll be interesting to see where Ring of Honor goes and how quickly they'll put Ring of Honor, because all the press release says is that the weekly shows will be coming soon. So I guess that's kind of because even though it's going to be on Honor Club, so now you have Athena and Claudio as your new champions. You have the Briscoes as your new champions. So it's people, and it's all people that fans are familiar with, which we talked about how last week we thought if, Jericho retained and Athena won and FTR retained and Samoa Joe retained, that it would be all former WWE talent. And so that's still kind of the case here, minus the Briscoes. So you have Samoa Joe, who still has the titles, and you've got Claudio, and then you've got Athena. So that is really interesting. So it seems like, although
I guess the pool to pick from is only so big. It is big. It's huge. It's Olympic size.
It is getting to the point, though, where you can't make that criticism anymore. Because wrestling, you have to work there's only so many places that wrestlers can work and be on TV. And so you're going to have, and then like Brad made the point, NXT was built off of a lot of Ring of Honor guys, like United Empire, Undisputed Era was all former ROH champions. And so, so it's going to happen, especially now. I mean, it's just, especially with so many people who are going to leave WWE or who lost their jobs from WWE when they were doing all those cuts. They've got to wrestle somewhere. And so you want champions. Like, why do you not want? And of course, yes, there should have new people. And like, I'm glad. And then there's Wheeler Yuta and things like that. So ROH, even though it's going to be on Honor Club, it feels like they're going in a new direction, a little bit, a more streamlined direction. Like, it's not all over the place. And now people can stop complaining about ROH being on AEW television, which still kind of sucks for them. So like I said, Dalton Castle should be on TV every week, and so I'm disappointed that he's not getting that. But I hope Honor Club does well. I hope people will give them a shot. I don't know how many people will pay $9.99 to watch them.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
It'll be interesting to see. They've got to do something about the price points for the pay-per-views for sure. But so
they need to fix their damn platform.
Yes, they do. And so before, I know we're getting a little long, but I want to touch on these things real quick. So especially because he is in our picture for our slate.
We do have to mention him because he had a banging week.
So Ricky Starks out here. Ricky
Starks won.
So the Revolution will be televised, and it is being televised, that man. So he went out there and he wins the Dynamite Diamond. Well, no, he wins to compete for the Dynamite Diamond ring. He has to face MJF, but now he is facing MJF because he's already facing him at Winter is Coming for the AEW World Championship. Now I guess they haven't clarified as far as I know. I assume it's one match for both things, right?
I think it was for both. I think there was at some point.
Like if Ethan Page had won,
I don't want to don't quote me on that, folks.
Because obviously if Ethan Page had won, then it would be Ricky and for Winter is Coming for the title, and then Ethan for the ring, I guess the next Wednesday or whenever they did it. But now I guess it's just
I feel like I heard Brian and Dave say like it was winner take all. I feel like that makes the most last minute at some point.
Interesting that it's. I mean, I get I get doing that, but then it's an interesting idea to keep that ring on MJF because clearly Ricky is not gonna take the title from
maybe
him.
he'll steal
Even though
it.
you
maybe
can
they'll do the stealing gimmick or something.
You could make the argument that you listen to the crowd like you did with the Acclaimed and you make MJF drop the title, but clearly that's not what's going to happen because they have plans for MJF and it took a long time to get MJF the championship. So clearly that's not going to happen. So it's interesting that the ring will stay with MJF because clearly, unless they do some sort of stipulation or they do some kind of a, not necessarily a rematch, but if they do something to get around it and to get that ring off of MJF. So it's going to be interesting if MJF has the ring and the title and that he wins the ring for the 4th consecutive time. So that'll be an interesting way to handle it. But I think so I really, so on top of winning the match, I mean, because MJF is obviously, he's leading into Richard. He's calling him the Pebble. And I was just like, and I remember I just tweeted, fuck him up, Ricky. I didn't know they were. And then I was like, then when it got done, I was like, let Ricky have the mic. Like we have not got to see a whole lot of it. Like when Ricky first came, we've seen a few moments of how good he is on the mic. I saw some stuff when he was in NWA. This man can talk. Like,
he is great on the mic. He's finally in, like, as far as his wrestling, one of the things that he struggled with was that he had like trouble, like he wasn't as good in ring as he was on the mic, but his wrestling has improved. So
yeah, Ricky's
let's
fantastic.
go.
Yeah, Ricky's ready to go.
LFG, folks. Come on.
Yeah.
Absolute
and so I was
Ricky
glad
stars.
Ricky just. And I heard that Ricky went off there, like he went. They said he had something written out before just to kind of have an idea of where he's going. Then he went off his own script, which clearly I think it was was it eczema or psoriasis? He made that comment. And I was like, Ricky.
He started with Maxi Pad and he got the whole crowd chanting Maxi Pad. And I was like, the moments in wrestling that I can always.
And that was kind of a rock. Well, and you're comparing him to Pebble, and that is a very rock thing to say, especially.
He was doing Dwayne's moves and everything. He was like,
but Ricky, I even told Brad this because Brad and I were talking about it on Twitter. I was like, he went toe to toe with MJF, and then he stomped on him. Yeah. Like he cooked that man. Like I was like, this is what. We needed this. Like MJF is good on the mic. Sometimes he's a little lazy and he goes for, like Ricky said, he goes for the low hanging fruit. There's only so much low hanging fruit you can go to. Sometimes MJF is a little like he sometimes just nails everything, and sometimes he falls back on some really old heel habits that don't really work in 2022. So it's nice to see a baby face be able to basically obliterate MJF.
Yeah.
And I saw so many people, they're like, he's a made man now. Like he
took his opportunity. They gave him his opportunity and said, here's your opportunity. And he went, okie dokie. You reminded me, it made me think back to, because we've been having like all the reminiscing that you do at the end of the year, and it made me think back to Clark Connors coming to play at Forbidden Door that night. And there's been a bunch of those moments with a bunch of people this year, and oh my gosh, I was like, I could do this. You guys can go, you can keep talking. I don't care.
Ricky he knocked it out of the park. Like
amazing. I want this feud so bad now. Yeah, like I want them to fight each other 100 times.
Yeah, like the feud that match was already gonna be good, but then this, just seeing Ricky stand, like he stood up to him basically. Yeah, he was like, and he called him a little boy. Like he was just put MJF in his place, and not only MJF, but he's the AEW World Champion.
Yeah,
he put him in his place and was like, he was like, you're not going to walk all over me just because you think, you're trying to get on to the next thing, which is obviously going to be Danielson. Because like, I'm not going to be just a stepping stone. Like you are going to have to fight me for not only that title, but now the Dynamite Diamond Ring. And yes, Ricky is obviously going to lose because they're not going to make MJF drop the title, but it's even more compelling than it already was. And so it'll be interesting to see. Oh, and we did get a little in that same match for the title. We did get we got some more of the Ethan Matt Hardy stuff, and we got a little bit of Damascus. Like like forgot where he was, and he pulled it out of him a little bit. And so we're seeing this man is getting closer and closer to being broken. And that doesn't necessarily mean that Jeff is on the way back. Which I hope at some point we do get. I hope once Jeff, he did give an update on the podcast. Jeff is doing well. He still obviously has to get through all the legal stuff, but he's doing better. He's healthy. He seems to be in a good frame of mind, which is nice to see. And of course, I would much rather have that than worry about him getting back in the ring. Of course, I would love to see him in the ring again, but his health is top priority. So it looks like, Matt has his hands full with Ethan. He's trying to protect Private Party, that type of stuff. So we're seeing some closer and closer, and that looks like maybe that's a build for either one of the big January shows. Revolution's been moved to March now, so
right.
They've got some time.
San Franny, all our Bay Area pals are all gonna do the whole week.
Yeah, good for them. So they've got some good stuff.
Garrett said he's doing the whole thing. He's good. Like, I'm buying tickets for everything. And I thought about it, and I was like, if that happened, like if I were in town and it was Mike, that's like I would their hometown.
Yeah,
like, absolutely.
And that's and it's the first time they're doing that too. So like it's kind of a historic thing too. Yeah, that's really cool.
The Bay Area is
it is. Yeah. So good for them.
I'm excited. It'll be great to hear back from them on that and stuff.
Yes. So definitely make sure you're following the Fight Game Media on YouTube, because they will probably have some content for you. And definitely, I know for the Patreon subscribers, it definitely gonna have some content.
Garrett is very excited about video right now. Yeah. Which I'm all about. I love it. I have a lot of fun watching the video of some people that I haven't gotten to see video before. So it's a lot of fun for me. And plus you get to see everybody's animals.
We do enjoy that.
We all have
we do love the animals in Fight Game Media.
Fight game animal lovers. We are here, Fight Game Media. But
so there's good stuff happening there. So I'm really looking forward. I want to see how they go forward with Ricky, even knowing he's not going to win on Wednesday. I still expect it to be an amazing match, but you can't drop the ball after what he just did. Like you have to. Ricky's coming in hot, and you gotta keep that momentum going. You can't do like you did with Wardlow and take him off TV right after he wins the title.
Tony does kind of have a problem sometimes about where he gets the people up to the point where it's like, and then doesn't like pull the trigger at the right time, and then it either cools off, or he does pull the trigger, but then he doesn't do anything with it after the fact. And, that's kind of
like they had to kind of correct themselves with the Acclaimed. Obviously, with Swerve and Our Glory, you can't just make them lose the pay-per-view just because of this. So that was, but they did go back and correct it the best way they could. Like
maybe they learned a lesson.
So sometimes it is hard to predict who the crowd is going to love, and then you get that.
We're fickle.
You get that moment from Ricky, and you have to run with it now. They've got to do something. Like, I don't know how maybe there's some way they can get around and let him get the Dynamite Diamond ring at least. And maybe he continues his feud with Ethan, but it looks like Ethan and Matt is eventually going to be the feud at some point. Like maybe he does a little bit more with Ricky before they get to that, but they have to cash in on Ricky right now. They can't just let him go back to what they were doing before. Like, they've got to keep him front and center, and they got to keep a microphone in his hand. I know it's a lot of pressure on Ricky, and I don't expect a promo like that every single time, but we know the man can talk. And it made me think when I was listening to him talk, I saw him back on Sammy Guevara's blog before he even came to AEW. They were joking, because there's always the comment, the joke that, he could have a match with a broomstick or with a mop. Well, they did. They literally wrestled a broom, and it was really interesting. It was fun, and he made it work, and it was really entertaining. And so if Ricky can do that, then Ricky can do a lot of things. So I am really I love Ricky, and I'm so glad he got this moment, and I hope that they don't drop the ball and they keep pushing him and keep a microphone in his hand.
Agreed. For sure. I can't say it any better than that. I think that's a good place to, unless you have any more.
Yeah, I was just going to say the real quick, I guess, if we're going to get into the other big story of the week, because it seems like it's been confirmed that there are now three separate reports confirming Sasha Banks at WrestleKingdom. I saw something from what Meltzer is reporting. Actually, I saw Ryan Satin say he is not Ryan Satin. Sean Ross Sapp said he has not been able to confirm everything that Meltzer is now reporting. However, he has no reason to doubt that it is incorrect. And if that is the case, then Meltzer is reporting that she will be at Wrestle Kingdom, will not be wrestling, but she has multiple dates with New Japan scheduled. So barring something with WWE, it sounds like maybe it's not a handshake deal type of thing, but like she's verbally a verbal contract. Basically. It says that they don't know if she's going to Stardom. They don't know that involvement with AEW. He did say New Japan cannot afford her, but AEW can. So if she were to sign with AEW, it looks like they would allow her to compete in New Japan. Again, that's all speculations. Nothing has been confirmed yet, but it appears that that's what she's doing. I'm gonna break myself of the habit of calling her Sasha Banks because she's not gonna be Sasha Banks. She will be Mercedes Varnado is her acting name. Wrestling, she may not do that. She has trademarked a few names. Some of it is probably for her cannabis brand that she has with Kalisto. They have a cannabis brand that actually won an award, like at the World Cannabis Awards. They won, and they're like a brand new thing. Apparently they're doing really well. And she was talking about how cannabis has helped her with, especially being on the road with wrestling and stuff. And it helped her. She was having some depression and anxiety issues. She was having some not that she said it helped her kind of cut back on her drinking. She wasn't relying on alcohol so much. And it seems like she said it's really changed everything for her, it sounds like, because now she has a new way to cope. And she has been training. She's been training down in Mexico. She's been training with Juventud Guerrera. Wow. she's trained with some other people down there. So she's definitely making an in-ring comeback. And it sounds, and that's where I predicted she would go. I was like, this woman is going to go to Japan at some point. She has openly talked about it. When she took her sabbatical last year, year before last, when she was having some mental health issues, she took a sabbatical. She went to Japan and she trained there, and that's what she wants to do. So I've had a feeling, I don't know. And because, obviously she has the Hollywood stuff. So I'm sure she's got to be somewhere that she can still that has the freedom to continue to do that. She did tweet like a week ago that she just wrapped her first movie. It was filmed in her hometown her current hometown of Boston. So it sounds like she still has she's got a lot of things going on. She's expanding herself. So and so they have heavily hinted that she will be Saraya's partner at the San Francisco show. It's kind of hard to say because they're hyping that match up a month in advance. So it seems like they're gonna have to deliver, unless the only thing I think is if it's not Mercedes is if maybe it's Trinity. Maybe it's her, because that's her name. I have not heard anything about her recently, as far as everything is about Mercedes going to New Japan. So I don't know what the plans are for Trinity. So it's like, well, maybe Trinity is doing something with AEW, or maybe they'll bring her in to be. I don't know. I'm just speculating. Like I was like, because if it's not Mercedes, I don't know who else it could be. And at this point, that internet, of course, has hyped themselves into a frenzy even before the Wrestle Kingdom news. And so now it's kind of like, because some people are like, oh, she's going to go back to WWE because they're letting Shinsuke be a part of the I think it's the Noah show that is it the Noah show that he's going to do?
The show for the Muda match.
Yes, that's what it is. Yes. So they're letting him do that. So somebody
he's doing
these poor fans that want her back in WWE, they're doing a lot of heavy lifting. They're like, well, she can do, they're like, well, Wrestle Kingdom is on January 4th. They're like, that match with Saraya is January 11th, and she can still be in the Royal Rumble. It's like, she's only one woman, guys. Chillax. It's like, I don't think that's what's happening. I think I was like, there's only so much that Triple H can do to bring her back, and I don't know that he can meet. Because somebody was like, "Well, now what do they do to bring her back?" I think WWE has been trying to bring her back this whole time. She's just doesn't want to, and she's not going to, or they're not going to give her certain things. And then I saw something. Apparently, there was a rumor that WWE thinks she's more trouble than she's worth, and they're not going to give her, she's asking for too much money, or she's this or that. And so it seems like it's not just on Sasha's end. It sounds like it could also be on WWE's end on what they're willing to offer her. So I think there's probably a lot more at play than we realize. But at this point, it looks like she will definitely be at WrestleKingdom. I mean, the very obvious thing that is going to happen is she's going to challenge the winner of Kairi versus who is she? I just blanked on who Kairi is wrestling at WrestleKingdom. Kairi will likely retain, because I doubt Kairi's losing the title that fast. So it sounds like Mercedes will probably challenge Kairi. Right. There's a few dates listed. And so the IWGP Women's Championship is a New Japan title. They've talked about potentially having it on Stardom shows. So does she wrestle in Stardom some? Is this a thing where, because Strong is going to be featuring some of the Stardom women, right, does she wrestle here?
Especially in North America
under the Strong
North American stuff, that right, they're going to be including the women more, right, because
and so she'll be on the Strong side, so she could wrestle under the Strong brand for New Japan, and she could be on a appearance basis if she's
I mean, she'd have a lot more flexibility in her schedule, as it were.
Yeah,
I mean, so I don't know how else to put it, but that in that case, she would be able to kind of like, I can be here, and then I can do this, and then this season this, and I mean,
and I can still make movies, and I can, if she is, and AEW would make sense in the sense that Saraya, and I bumped the article the other day, Saraya, when she got cleared on Halloween, besides texting Renee, the first person she texted was Mercedes, because people have blamed Mercedes for ending her career. Saraya has said many times that it is not her fault. It was her own fault for being in the ring in the first place. She has taken full responsibility for that, but she knows that people blame Mercedes, and Mercedes may blame herself a little bit. And so she wants her to know, you did not end my career. I can wrestle again. I've been cleared. And she has said Mercedes was over the moon for her. So it's certainly possible that is her tag team partner. I don't know what AEW will do if it's not her. I guess maybe Trinity could potentially, and I don't want to put that pressure on Trinity, but but the only other name that I could think of that could potentially be as big as Mercedes would be Trinity. And so I don't know if it is. I don't know if Trinity even wants to go to AEW. I don't know what it is that she wants to do, but it's very interesting. Maybe she goes to Stardom with Mercedes. I don't know, but
why not?
Yeah, so it would be really cool to see Sasha. Sasha would be huge for, New Japan not building a women's division, because I don't think they're necessarily looking to
more
do that.
Like building their women's base of their audience. They know
right, that they're building the audience, and they're building the prestige.
They know it's a bigger deal here, and they're finally recognizing it, and that's how they're going to utilize it. Because for the most part, what I've read is that most of those women's matches are going to end up on Strong shows that are about here in North America. They're very, very specific about the fact that they're going to be mostly North American.
Yeah, and they said it may be on some of the bigger Stardom shows. They've seen the draw. So. Yeah, and they'll be
when they put women on their Strong shows as even undercard, it actually does bring in more for them. So I mean, but yes, big ups to them for
so then you grab, if that's what you're doing, then of course you grab.
Well, they own own Stardom now, so they have to do something with it.
Right. And so you bring in, because Kairi is a huge name, and getting Kairi back, and she's of course synonymous with Stardom. She was a big part of what they did for a long time. She's been away for 5.5 years. And so now she's kind of bringing herself back into the fold. And, Mayu Iwatani, again, I'm not super familiar with Stardom, but from what I understand, she carried that company on her back. Apparently, from something I read, the reason they did not put the title on her is there's some contract issues between Stardom and her, and so they put the title on Kairi instead. So I don't know what the plan is for Kairi long term. Now that they potentially have Mercedes involved, I mean, that's somebody who at some point you would think is going to hold that title. And that's huge for the IWGP, because the IWGP, they're obviously a lot about respect and things like that, and having, prestige behind the people who carry these titles. So I think somebody of Mercedes caliber is somebody that you would want to hold that title. And she is a global name. She is somebody who's known worldwide. She has fans all over the place, and that's going to bring a lot of eyeballs to your product and your title. And so if you are trying to build something with the women, then you have to bring somebody like her in if you can, even if it's by appearance basis. If you can't afford to bring her in, for for a long-term deal. So then does that, and that gives her the freedom to do what she wants. Does that involve AEW? Possibly. And then that brings its own set of things, because of course she's gonna be huge for them, but we know how they book the women's division. There's some of the same issues. She already had those issues in WWE with the women's tag team titles. So there's so many layers and angles to this. And I think once we know a little bit more about what exactly Mercedes will be doing, then that's definitely a conversation for a future episode for sure. But I'm excited for Sasha.
There's a lot going on. There's a lot.
You and I have already been.
2023 is going to be full of crazy crap.
Yeah, and we've already talked about how excited we are for WrestleKingdom.
Yep.
So now I'm excited to see.
Getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what she's going to do, even in a non-wrestling capacity. Having her there is a huge deal. And I think, I mean, like we said, the very obvious thing is she's going to challenge whoever wins the IWGP women's match at WrestleKingdom. I don't know how quickly she gets involved as far as physically, but she said she will not wrestle until January the 1st, and that shows January the 4th. So if she wanted to wrestle January 5th at New Year's Dash, she could. So it'll be really interesting, but I think it's really smart of her, and it's really smart of New Japan to have her involved in any way. And so I'm excited to see. Try not to get my hopes up about what's going to happen, because we do have to remember how New Japan
be optimistic.
But yeah, I am cautiously optimistic. I'm excited for Mercedes, because I want her to, get what it is that she wants. And so get the bag and do whatever it is that makes
it.
Yes, and I hope Trinity gets to, whatever it is that she's doing and wants to do. I hope she gets it too, because she deserves it as well. And I know a lot of the conversation is about Mercedes, but we can't forget Trinity either. And I hope that she is happy with and if she ends up somehow back in WWE, I hope that they treat her well, and I hope she's great. And if she never goes back, then that's great too, as long as that she, she's happy. So I'm looking forward to for things for both of them. But yeah, so yeah. So I think that's probably a good place to stop it, especially because we went a little long, but we had a lot of things to talk about. It's one of those weeks where kinds of things were happening. I was like, okay, we're going to talk about Ricky Starks, and then Sasha Banks was like, talk about me, and then and then now we've got all this Final Battle Ring of Honor news. So we had a lot to cover, but we will be back. I believe we should be back next Sunday at 1:00. I don't think there's
no holidays yet.
I don't think there's.
But we will keep you posted at Powerbombshells on all the socials that you can find us on. So that's where you can know what's happening and know what we're going to be doing. If we are going to be streaming, if we're not going to be streaming, we do want to try and do some fun stuff for the end of the year. So we'll figure that out. But
definitely stay tuned for that. And we are glad that you're on audio, but sometimes you might need some video, because like now with Mel's amazing headwear that she has on, you cannot see it, and you should. But we are
the only way you can see it is if you go to our YouTube channel at Fight Game Media and you subscribe and click our links and like them, which is good for all of us.
It is. It's good for everybody, and we want that for them.
And you'll enjoy it anyway, because there's tons of great content.
Yeah, it's all kinds of, like we've talked about before, there's WWE stuff, there's New Japan, there's MMA, there's all kinds of stuff that you can
all the MMA shows from yesterday, from Saturday will be covered on the site. We've got all kinds of people working that stuff, every angle of your combat sport. And
you will get your $5 worth for sure.
You will. You will.
All right.
Always.
So
all right. Well,
that is it for us this week.
Everybody have a nice week, and we will see you next time.
All right.